This 911 Strong podcast is brought to you by our partners at the Police Credit Union of California.
As a financial institution founded by law enforcement for law enforcement and their families over 65 years ago, they have the experience and understanding to help you with all your financial needs,
including exclusive products designed specifically for law enforcement professionals. To become a member today, visit thepolicecu.org. That's the police, the letter C, and the letter U.org.
Or call 800-222-1391 and tell them you heard about them from the 911 Strong podcast.
Station to all units.
Prepare to copy.
You're listening to the 911 Strong podcast.
Don't act like I never told you.
With Aram and Kristen, bringing you stimulating discussion.
No, I like the sound of that.
An entertaining conversation.
And now, here's Kristen and Aram.
Hey friends, welcome back to the 911 Strong podcast. I'm your host, Aram Choe, and with me as always is my faithful co-host, Kristen Jauregui.
Hi.
Hi.
Cheers.
How you feeling?
Still like crap.
Yeah, Kristen's a bit under the weather. She's being a trooper, though, showing up to work, doing the podcast thing, because I can't do the show without her. So thank you for joining. She was sneezing up a storm. She's drinking fluids. I think you're on your fourth drink right now.
Yeah, I had my decaf
scotch
coffee,
and
my water, and now Danny was nice enough to bring me a medicine ball from Starbucks.
Yes, if you don't know what a medicine ball from Starbucks is, it's basically a really hot tea and lemonade combo, right?
It's like 2 or 3 different teas, and then they put some honey in it.
Okay.
And I think lemonade, like a hot lemonade.
Well, that's really good. It'll make you feel better. And hopefully you feel better soon. Speaking of feeling better, the topic of this show today is 3 things cops and anybody related in law enforcement, really, whether you're in records, dispatch, you should do after work, because for 10, 12, whatever hours you work, we're constantly, we're in a higher mode of hyper awareness, hyper anxiety. It's a frenetic job, right? We're especially I walked into dispatch the other day to mess with Kristen. Kristen hates feet, especially dirty feet. So she was she was heating up her eggs, and I sat at her desk and I pulled up a Google photo of some dirty feet. And I didn't realize
tons of dirty feet.
Yeah, I didn't realize how bad Kristen would have reacted to this, but she wasn't ready, and she gagged so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, where's the bucket?
I can't stand feet.
No, I didn't realize it was that
bad.
Feet are
so gross.
I'm sorry. I felt really bad after that. And
then
then the other dispatchers that were there looked at me like I was the biggest a-hole in the world. And I did feel like that.
I think that was all for show, because she sends me text messages of feet or DMs of feet too.
She does?
So, yes, she does. Some of the other ones do too, because they know I get so grossed out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm sorry. I'm going to be a better friend. I'm going to hit the reset button and not
promises.
No more feet. I'm not going to do that anymore, because I saw how bad she reacted. But anyways, so we have our moments at work where we kind of have fun, right? Because we have to. You can't be in cop mode or dispatch mode without relieving some of your stresses and frustrations. Mm-hmm. So I thought this episode would be a good one to talk about on what to do after all that's said and done, because I caught myself doing this the other day. I was, we work extremely long hours, but I'm in a really stressful position where even after work, I'm constantly thinking about work, because I'm on call 24/7 on my days off on the weekends. I get called. I wake up in the middle of the night from phone calls. I woken up. I'm on vacation right now, right? Yesterday was kickoff to my vacation. Well, this morning at 5 a.m, I get a call. I'm like, dude, I'm on vacation, but it's my duty to answer the call. Yeah. So how do we prepare for this, Kristen? You're the resident expert with mental health and awareness and resiliency, and a lot of that stuff that you teach across the country and at the FBI Academy is really helpful to those folks. And some of the things I've learned from you is one of the first things is to hit that reset button. So number one, my most important thing is to hit that reset button. You've got to hit it after work, right? You spend your entire shift in warrior mode, but you don't need to take it home with you. Your family needs you to fulfill the role that was intended for them. If I'm the father, I'm a husband. I need to be the father and husband. I don't need to be a cop.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you want to expand on that?
So, yeah, I mean, one of the things, I mean, I'm very fortunate that for the most part, I carpool with my husband. So when we go home, we kind of vent in the car either about our day or kind of catch up on certain calls and kind of go over things. And then once we get home, that's when the work talk stops. So if you're fortunate enough to carpool with somebody, fantastic, have it out in the car, phone a friend, phone your spouse, whatever it is, and try to like leave everything at work, because I know it's harder now being kind of introduced to the DB world. Like you guys have cases that are ongoing. So it doesn't just end that day, it continues on sometimes. So you have extra work to do, extra interviews to do, all of those things. So I know it's not as easy. Or I know some of now from traveling, some of the guys back east, they go straight from work to home. There's no changing out of your uniform or anything. So you can go to a horrific call, then go off the clock and go straight into the house, and you don't really have time to really decompress, which I know is what we're going to talk about next. But maybe let your wife know if you're having one of those days, like, hey, I'm just going to sit out in the car for a minute, or go to the garage or backyard, or just take a few extra like laps around the block before you go in, to get yourself in that right mental space to now switch from being an officer to being, whoever you are in the family.
You bring up a good point. There are a lot of agencies outside of California where you drive your car home, you wear your uniform home, right? But for us, like that reset button for me is I change out of my uniform of the day.
Right.
So when I change out of it, I'm like, it kind of signals that I'm not a cop anymore.
But I didn't realize, I didn't really think about it, I guess, because we get so used to what we already know, right? And so we kind of assume other people are similar. But yeah, I was talking to one of the Michigan State Police, and they don't even have briefings together for this particular department. So there's not that camaraderie either, where the guys and gals can like talk about what happened the day before, or what repetitive crimes they have. So they really don't have that venting there, and they ride one man. So they're not always meeting up with each other either. Whereas we have that convenience in our smaller town to like meet up with each other. Right.
Yeah.
So they could go out the whole day like that. They don't have a debriefing, or like you said, they don't change in the locker room. They just, 10-7 or shut off work and go straight to their house.
Wow.
So there's a lot of lack of communication for them to like vent and talk about their day and decompress before they go into that, home mode.
Yeah, that's critical, which leads us to number 2, which is decompress. So whether it's a hot shower, at the gym, I do jujitsu after work, so that for me, that's my way to decompress. Or listening to music, a podcast like the 911 Strong podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. I'm sorry.
Shameless plug, I know.
Shameless plug, I know.
Yeah.
But it's not a plug if it's our own show, but I'm plugging our show.
That's okay.
Or, what I used to do too is like listen to entire audiobooks. I have a long commute. I sit in traffic, so I listen to audiobooks on my way home. But the next thing I'm going to do is download immersion Spanish. I'm going to learn how to speak another language on my drive. But whatever it takes to switch your focus. So
yeah.
Personally, I listen to stuff that lifts my mood, something that makes me laugh. Sometimes I'll play comedy soundtracks on the background. Just laughing makes when I'm tired at work, when I'm tired on my commute, when I need that pickup. For some people, it's drinking coffee. For me, my coffee is laughing. So I might watch a TikTok or two or something, but I decompress that way. For me, my major way for me to decompress is either an exhausting workout or laughter. Those two work for me. What about you?
Definitely laughing on the way to work. I usually listen to whoever's in California might know, called The Woody Show on 98.7. And they talk about the most random things, make fun of everybody. They're not very I don't think they're really at all political. It's just like fun, like junk talk, but it's pretty funny.
Kind of like the 911 Strong podcast, available on
kind of like
Podcast,
us,
Spotify,
yeah.
Google.
They do things like Cart Narcs. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Yes, they do like redneck news, like a bunch of stupid stuff, but it like just makes me crack up. On the way home, now that we have nice weather, I like just driving with the Jeep, and that in itself, having the fresh wind and air and stuff hit was great. Like you said, I'll listen to a podcast, or I'll listen to like my old like high school jams, like Blink or, Offspring or that kind of thing, and just blast it. Or I listen to a book too. I'm listening to one, I think it's Brene Brown, and it's something of the heart, but it's really good too. And it's about all your, how your emotions affect you and everything. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
And just a whole bunch of things.
The weather is nicer. So for all you commuters in Southern California on the Southern California freeways, beware of the topless Jeep and the blonde hair flying through the air with the white girl diddy bopping to Blink 182.
Yeah.
She's not paying attention to her driving. Trust me. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh. I can't even fly by here. It's LA. Everything's traffic.
That's true. All right. And the final thing of the three things that you should do after work is to breathe, right?
Yes.
For me, when I pull up to the driveway, I make it a habit to take a second and take a deep breath. And kind of like when an athlete prepares for their serve or their free throw or their play, right? They take a deep breath. And what that does is it calms the blood down. It slows the blood down. It slows your breathing. It calms you down. And for me, when I breathe in the driveway, it prevents me from being that Debbie Downer that walks through the front door. You see it in movies and TV shows all the time, the exhausted cop dad that walks through the home and like, back, you see all that like in the 60s programs where everybody kind of walked on eggshells. Oh, I remember that show I'm thinking of, The Wonder Years.
Oh yeah.
Right. When Kevin Arnold's dad walked in from work, everybody's kind of like walking on eggshells. Let's see what dad feels like, what mood he's in. Yeah. I don't want to be that dad. I want to be the dad that the kids, right now, my kids, and it feels like forced habit. But when I walk through that door, they all greet me one at a time. They give me their hug. I don't ever want that to stop, even though it's forced. I don't want that to stop. And I feel like if I walk home and I'm super grumpy, that'll stop one day. So I make it a habit not to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just think of what kind of reflection it is on your kids. Like that's what you're teaching them too. And they're just always going to remember that they had to keep their distance from you when you came home, or work always made you grumpy, or, that kind of thing. Like all they know is that you're coming home. They don't know what you've dealt with or anything else. And they just love you and they love your presence. And I think that's something that when we either reset in the driveway or decompress in the driveway, when we walk through that door, you have to remember it's your loved ones that are greeting you and they're just happy to see you. And I
don't give them presents. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, you said
when you're being present.
I don't give them presents. Only on their birthdays and on Christmas.
I know you're stingy like that. They're going to remember that, Aram. Just letting you know.
Well, not giving them presents?
Yeah.
You should have said, remember not giving them presents instead of remembering my presents.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, you guys understand what I mean. Aram's just Aram.
Who's you guys?
The people we're talking to.
There's only one. We only have one listener. You know it. It's the same listener.
Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean, right, listener? You're on my team versus Aram's. You get me?
Listener is. Whoever that listener is out there needs to settle this debate right now, whether you understand Kristen or not. Just leave us a review and comment on our podcast.
Oh my gosh. I'll give away something if you pick Team Kristen.
I think we need to do that because we're
we do.
I don't know what's going on, but our reviews on our podcast on Apple Podcasts stopped at 222.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it's an even number.
I guess, but that number needs to jump up to the 300s.
Well, we have to do something. So if you guys have any suggestions of what we should do or what giveaways we should do,
maybe
start throwing around ideas.
So our good friends at Code 7 Coffee have been speaking to us about how they can be more involved in the podcast, and I think this would be a good opportunity for them to be more involved. Give away one of their premium coffees.
I think we should do that.
Yeah,
definitely do that.
All right. So, I mean, I wrote 3 things that cops should be doing, or dispatchers, anybody in law enforcement should be doing to decompress. You're in this world. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything that we could be doing besides decompressing and hitting the reset button and breathing?
No, I mean, I guess you pretty much nailed it all. It's just finding something to alleviate your stress, and you have to find out what works for you, because what works for me isn't always going to work for anybody else. I know a lot of people that do like meditation and stuff. Like I have to be in the right mood for that. It doesn't always work for me.
Yeah. It's hard to meditate when you're driving too.
Well, yeah, unless maybe you're a Tesla driver, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it in the car. but it does help. Like a lot of people swear by it. The breathing thing, I think, is really the biggest thing for me. When I'm stressed out, or even I used it the other day on my daughter when she was getting her teeth pulled. She had long story short, she has 3 little baby teeth that needed to go before she gets braces. So she was starting to really freak herself out getting in her head. And I just told her, let's concentrate on your breathing.
Yeah.
So I would tell her, I'd be like, okay, let's do 4 seconds in. And I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit slower than that. And then when I say blow out for 4, and I tell her there's a candle in front of you and I don't want you to blow out the candle. So she would go really slow doing that. And so we did that about 4 to 5 times. And then she was a lot more relaxed. She, one, she's distracted. And like you said, it's slowing down her heart rate and everything else. So she's like starting to get more relaxed and not as freaked out. So the breathing thing helps, even just taking a deep breath, like before calls or something, or before you even respond to somebody who's like already getting under your skin. That's good. And just really find somebody to talk to, because it's not good to hold everything in. So if you're really like frustrated with somebody, you need to have somebody that you trust that you can vent to.
Yeah. When you just said distracting your daughter right now, that got me thinking. The reason why I think jujitsu is such a good release for me is I'm taking in instruction and I'm being distracted. I'm too busy trying to retain what I'm learning and actually learn and get better, that I'm not thinking about my day. So yeah, that would be horrible if I had one of those days where at training, if all I did was think about that instead. So yeah, I think that we pretty much covered it. Can't think of anything else, but yeah, those are some really good tips to take away if you're a new officer, new dispatcher, and you have a family, especially. All right. Bless you. That's you.
Thanks. I muted it, guys. I know
you did you're quick on that button. All right. Well, that ends it for this episode of the 911 Strong podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.